Well, good day to you. It is October the 26th, and I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are. My name is Gary Willing, and I want to welcome you to Search for Signs. If you are new, welcome you back if you've been here before. Now, if you want to know more about Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom, I definitely encourage you to check out some of the links in the description portion of these videos because they take you to websites that give you really good background information about what we talk about. So they're there for if you want to start investigating this information for yourself. Now, if you want to take it a step further too and join the discussion, well, you too are invited to post your comments, post your questions in the comments section, or you can email me directly at searchforsigns@mail.com. But I want to thank Smoke Doja, XXYX, Maitreya, Mitch Gesto, and Lenny and Cluda for commenting since the last time I put a video up yesterday. Thank you so much for doing that. Gives me something to talk about in this video. All right. Now, because I promised to try to answer questions that come my way, I was debating whether to even answer this question or not because I didn't know if you were being serious or not, Lenny and Cluda. Do you think Jimi Hendrix predicted these new purple streetlights we are seeing when he wrote the song Purple Haze? I'm sorry to laugh. Are you talking about the song where he said, Purple haze all in my brain. Lately, things don't seem the same. It might be funny, but I don't know why. Excuse me while I kiss this guy. That song? You think he was talking about purple streetlights that were going to be built in 2022? My educated guess was he was just as high as a motherfucker when he wrote that song. And he was probably stoned when he wrote Little Wing. Now, I do think he might have been touching on the law of cause and effect when he wrote the song Hey Joe. When he said, hey Joe, where you going with that gun in your hand? Going to shoot my old lady, found her with another man. I mean, it's the law of cause and effect. You mess around with Joe's old lady, man. Next thing you know, he's coming at you with the gun. So anyway, well, thank you very much for your questions and your comments, Lenny. I'm going to move on to the next one. Maitreya asked, hi, Gary, have you ever heard of the Venus Project? It's the only futuristic model of life that makes sense. They spoke at the UN a few years ago. The model is based on sharing the world's resources and to create a resource-based economy where money is no longer needed. If you haven't visited their website yet, I would suggest you take a look. Let me know what you think. Is this project made for Maitreya? And, you know, I watched a few videos on this, and I got really excited watching this. It's incredible, you know, some of the things that this guy is already starting to dream up. And the creator of the project, they kept talking about a guy named Fresco. I don't know if he's the main guy or whatever, but he reminds me of a current day Buckminster Fuller. And if you don't know who Buckminster Fuller was, he was an inventor who lived a few decades ago, but was way ahead of his time. And invented all sorts of things, but he was very environmentally conscious at a time where nobody was even thinking about saving the environment, and really ahead of his time. And I remember seeing a model of one of his houses that he was designing, and he thought this was going to be the future for houses in the United States. But it was rounded, and it was metal, and it sat above the ground on this pedestal. So in order to not create this footprint in the ground. And it was even designed to collect rainwater to help you water your plants and so forth. I mean, it was incredible. And I saw it at this really unique museum, the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan, that has a lot of really cool stuff. It has the chair that Lincoln was shot in, the presidential limo that Kennedy was assassinated in. And my favorite thing that I saw that just really captivated my attention actually was Edison's last breath in a vial, but it also had this replica, or not a replica, it was actually an exact model of this house that he was designing that was supposed to be able to be built by two people over a weekend. And like I said, it was very ecologically friendly and so forth. But if you want to know what it looked like the Jetsons house. You remember that cartoon, the Hanna-Barbera cartoon, the Jetsons? It looked like that, but in a smaller version of it. It was really cool. But, you know, my cynical mind, when I watched this, couldn't help but think that sooner or later corporations are going to get in the way and muck the whole thing up because they want to make a profit off of whatever, right? The other thing is, people have been trying to design these futuristic cities in order to survive some kind of, ecological disaster or, something like that, right? And which I don't think really is going to amount to very much. But this guy seemed like he was on a different path, and had a different intention to why he was trying to create the Venus Project. And it was really exciting to watch, I have to say. And I'll put a video on the Facebook page. I'll put a link to the video, so if you want to watch it, you can watch it that way. It was really cool. I really thank you for sending that to me. But ecologically, I follow politics, and ecologically, the right are against everything. They're the party of no. No, 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 no. We don't want that. We don't want that. We don't want that. And one of the things that they said that I think that arguments against, let's say, electric cars, does kind of make sense. It says, if everyone got an electric car right now, it would overburden the electric grid and cause all sorts of havoc and problems, right? And I could see that being a problem, maybe. But then I start to think, well, why not try? Why not try it? It's not like we're going to get to everybody driving an electric car in the next week. It might be another decade before we do it, but we should start trying something now, right? We should start trying these projects like the Venus Project and see what happens with it. Even if nothing happens with it, even if it's builds on something else is built on top of that idea or whatever, right? It's all a part of the creative spirit of humanity, but it's also a part about saving our own skin. Because if we don't start doing something about the environment, well, it's going to affect everybody either way, right? But the other thing, too, that I was thinking about, the non-cynical part of my mind is what is our inventors and, us as a humanity going to come up with when commercialization is out of the picture? When we don't have to create inventions for companies that go bad or are designed to fail after a few years, so you have to buy another fridge or something like that. What's it going to be like? The creative spirit of humanity is this guy is a clear example of that, of thinking outside the box and thinking about the future and not about profit in that way and so forth. It's really incredible. But I wanted to read something coming from Ben's master about creativity. And I think that when we are starting to look to these masters and emulate these masters to some degree as what our potential is, not copy them, not follow them, but understand that they are us in potential, right? I think it will awaken within the hearts and the minds of all of us this joy and this creativity that is kind of latent in people now. Ben's master talked about a renaissance in the arts and sculpture and music that's coming in the not so distant future in this very way, just like it was back 400 or 500 years ago in Europe, right? That same renaissance, but on a higher level, right? But if you listen to what he has to say with this, it might make sense too in regards to this. He said, each one has a part to play in the complex pattern being woven by humanity. Each contribution is uniquely valuable and necessary to the whole. However dim as yet the spark, there is no one in whom the fire of creativity cannot be lit. The art of living is the art of giving expression to the creative fire and so revealing the nature of men as potential gods. So thank you very much for sharing that video. I'm going to do some more research and really look at it and maybe try checking out some different videos talking about the same thing. But I thought it was incredible. Is it made for Maitreya? Well, as long as as long as corporations don't get involved in it, you know what I'm saying? But the principle of sharing will, is necessary for peace. And that was one of the things they talked about, sharing the resources, which I thought was really cool too. So, but thank you very much for that. It's very much in line with Maitreya's priorities. The beautification of our cities is another priority of Maitreya. So, yeah, I'd see it. It's in line. At least it's a start in the right direction for sure. Alrighty. XXYX. Hey, Gary, what about the Virgin Mary apparitions? Okay, those have been going on for a while. Now, I haven't talked about the Virgin Mary in wow, it's been a long time since I actually talked about the Master who was the Madonna. But the Master who was the Madonna, according to Ben, is one of the more advanced masters on our planet today. Now, this master is not an incarnation at this time, like the Master Jesus, like Maitreya, like some of these other masters, is still working on the inner planes, but will eventually go into incarnation, but not for another 200 or 300 years from now. Now, this particular master will be the first master to be female. And it's been asked a lot, why are all the masters men? Does that have something to do with sexism or misogyny or anything like that? And it doesn't. It has to do with energy, really. And these masters can choose whatever body they want. They don't look at life the way that we do with this gender bias and all that kind of stuff. But they look at life energetically, and it would be easier. It's easier for them to ground the spiritual energy that they are transmitting by having a male body at this time. And it's because there's so few masters, they really need to be efficient in terms of their time and their energy in this regard, in terms of anchoring that energy on the physical plane. In the future, when more and more people are masters, it will be easier for them to not have to do that, and then more and more can take female bodies as they incarnate. But this particular master will be the first. Now, this particular master isn't a male body on the inner planes, but when this particular master is incarnated, it will be a female. But getting back to the apparitions, these are one of the many miracle signs that have been going on for decades. And they've been happening to all kinds of people in all walks of life. And I'll put a very famous photograph, especially if you're familiar with the Share International magazine, because they posted this image a lot in their website and on the magazine and so forth, because it's a really cool image of the master who was the Madonna. But this lady was riding with her husband in the car, and she saw this tree on the side of the road that she thought was beautiful, and she wanted to take a picture of it. She took a picture of it. The film was developed, yada yada yada. The image of the Madonna was superimposed on the tree. It's quite extraordinary. So I'll put that on the Facebook page if you guys are curious. But what Ben would say about people receiving messages from the master who was a Madonna, which there was a very famous woman here on the outskirts of Atlanta. I don't think she's doing much lately, but claimed to receive messages from the master who was Madonna, because they had actually had some experiences with an apparition in this area and that kind of thing. And it was of gloom and doom, of more destruction, of the end of the world, and those kind of things. And he would always say that, and this isn't just unique to the master who was the Madonna. There are other masters who people claim to receive messages from, where they're saying that they're receiving these gloom and doom messages, the end of the world, more and more destruction, those kind of things, war, those kind of things. And that he would say that they were not coming from the master who was the Madonna or one of these other masters. They're coming from the person's own fear and their own subconscious, because these masters don't promote fear. I've said it in a video before. I read it from one of Benjamin Creme's master's articles. He said fear and joy are equally infectious. So they don't spread fear, because fear keeps people enthralled. And so they're about the removal of guilt and fear. So why would they promote fear if they're trying to get rid of fear? You know what I'm saying? So he would say, be careful of the messages that you're receiving. Use your discernment on whether they're really coming from the master who was the Madonna or not, in terms of what people claim. You know what I mean? If they are fear and destruction and gloom and doom, then they're not coming from the master who was the Madonna. If they're about oneness and joy and peace, perhaps, or something like that, bringing about justice, then they could be coming from one of these masters. But anyway, hopefully it helps. But yeah, like I said, they are one of the many miracle signs. So looking back over it, I think I answered all the questions as best I possibly could, or at least gave it a good college try. Thank you very much for those who asked questions and commented. Thank you for listening. I love you. You guys take care, and I look forward to putting up a video real soon. You guys have a great day. Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.